Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today we're going to check out this beauty over here. This is G.I. Joe #1 by Marvel Comics. Uh, Before we do, I always like to just filibuster a bit until we get some people in here. All of a sudden, my hair is insane. All of a sudden, I need a haircut. Like 2 days ago, I didn't need a haircut, and then boom, I need a haircut. So forgive my insanity. My wife always laughs at me when I get to this stage. So I'll get a haircut this week. Uh, the light doesn't seem to be showing the comic too well. Let's turn up the light. Okay, I don't care if I have a glare on me when I'm doing a comic. So there we go. So this is Sunday. Welcome to Sunday Comics. This is G.I. Joe #1. I'll talk about this in a minute, but first let's talk about uh, uh, my comic is available right now. For those of you who are unaware, who just stumbled in here because of G.I. Joe, uh, Heroic Tales #1 is still available on its site on Fund My Comic. I'm going to be closing that down the on April 3rd. So April 3rd, I will shut down this site, and then April 4th, I will be opening the new site for the Heroic Tales #2. So there's going to be a little bit of time. You know what? You know what? I don't know. Maybe I'll keep it open. That way, if you order Heroic Tales 1, you can get it right away. Or if you'd rather wait and bundle, yeah, I don't know. Ideas are always happening. So a lot of cool stuff going on. Heroic Tales #2 is going to be launching in a few weeks over on Michael Bancroft's channel. We're going to keep it simple. It's going to be two. Well, I spoke too soon. There's going to be the Renzo Rodriguez cover. And remember, each comic is going to have two covers. This is the way I will explain it. Is you get the comic, let's say it's going to have the Renzo Rodriguez Patriarch, and then when you flip it over, it's going to have the Renzo Rodriguez Mary Sue. So whatever way you want to decide is the front cover, that's up to you. And then you get the variant cover. It's going to have the Joshua Howard Mary Sue, and then you flip it over, it's going to have the Jose Garcia Patriarch. Why? Because there's two complete stories in the comic. There's a Patriarch story and there's a Mary Sue story, uh, and then a couple of other goodies, a letters page and stuff like that. But I always thinking, what gets people interested in arts and everything, and people have been looking at and painting and photographing and drawing beautiful women since the dawn of time. So I'm friends with Martina Marcota, a stunning New York City model who's got married and moved out to the city. So I was like, hey, if I send you a Mary Sue shirt, would you mind posing? Drum up some interest in my comic, and she loved the idea, and it's still getting retweets and posts. It's on Instagram now. It's just going everywhere, and I'm going to say that I got more attention on my campaign from these pictures than I did in months of me babbling and talking like a freak puss that I am. So I was looking at uh, this picture. That's Martina. She put on a wig. The only thing is she doesn't have the scar, but we don't want to put a scar on that face. So I was like, maybe we'll make a variant cover, a cosplay cover. So then I was like, but it's a flip book. So I sent out a Patriarch T-shirt to Joe Sontag, who looks exactly like the Patriarch, and he agreed to do some fun poses, and we'll do him at the back. So we'll make a cosplay cover. This is last minute, spur of the moment. So we're up to three covers. There's three variants: the Renzo, the guest artist, and the cosplay cover. That's what we'll call them. So I think that'll be some fun stuff. And it literally happened like in a 3-day span. You know what I mean? So I think that's fun. Oh, let's address the comments. Wow, the comments are flying. The comments are flying. We got Torchberry Studios. How you doing, buddy? How's everything? How's the Thug coming along? Torchberry Studios is working on his own comic called The Thug, and I will salute the Thug to a nice, tasty sip of perfectly brewed. I got to ask, this is the most important question. Screw comic books, screw board games, screw politics. How do you like your coffee? I will say that the best coffee in the world is made by a Farberware percolator. That's it. If it ain't in a Farberware percolator, you don't have good coffee. That's the way my mom made it. That's the way I'm making it. Perfectly brewed. This book is so important to my comic collecting, though I never owned it. I used to go to the newsstand every day looking for G.I. Joe #1, but it was never there, so I got other comics. The perils and pitfalls of the newsstand, ladies and gentlemen. For those youngins, you don't understand. Back then, before the direct market, although this came out, I think, during the direct market years, if you missed it, you missed it. Just like TV shows. If you missed it, you missed it. Maybe there was summer reruns, but there were comic book stores. There always were comic book stores. You could go to conventions, but let's be real. When I was a kid, I didn't know about driving across town because comic book stores like popped up like weeds later on. But back when I was a kid, if you missed a comic on the newsstand, it was like a legendary thing that, like, oh my God, that kid has that. Oh, like you started to wheel and deal. Like, how can I trade him or hoodwink him? You don't like that comic. You should throw it away, and I'll throw it away for you. Eventually, I was hooked on the whole Marvel line. Started collecting G.I. Joe at issue 4 after the speculator who ran the newsstand actually put them out for sale. Oh, I see. And here's the link to my comic. Hope you all having a blessed day. Bang. Ooh, I always get stressed. Like, am I going to get blessed? Am I going to get blessed? And I am blessed. James Griffin, good morning from another dimension. Jim is in an alternate world that I don't know. I was going to make a joke, but I couldn't think of one. But Jim's my buddy. He's been my friend since 3rd grade, and the suit is based on his character for V&V. I changed it a little bit, but and Jim will have one of his characters in two of his characters in major stories. I think one of them is going to be issue 4 of Heroic Tales, my multiverse issue. I also homage this cover on my Military How to Draw a book called Gung Ho. Oh, cool. Put it on Twitter and reference me. Hey, Ben Smar, how you doing? How's everything? Hail, Ben. Fabrizio, my buddy Fabrizio, who had a page in Heroic Tales #1 and has a page in Heroic Tales #2, and as far as I'm concerned, is welcome to have a page in Heroic Tales in perpetuity. How's that for a good old-fashioned word? Fabrizio Aiello. All right, and I would be remiss in my duty if I didn't mention that he is also the creator and all-around guru of Horace H. Hoover, a comic that I absolutely love, and I can't wait for the next issue. Morning. Only read a handful of these when they came out, but catching up. So far, I like them. Herb Trimpe is better than I had realized. I'll address all my G.I. Joe concerns and everything once I actually get to the comic. Yo, Joe, I'm hoping to bundle. Yes, I will offer a bundle deal, and it's a good time to mention this. I have a lot. Of course, I'm nervous. I'm nervous about launching a comic. Oh my God, I was so nervous when I launched issue 1. I'm not as nervous for issue 2, and I don't mean I'm taking things for granted, but I just think I got a handle on things. I know what I'm doing now, kind of thing. Like, there were so many unknown variables and unknown things, and for issue #1, and oh my God, at the last minute, I was freaking out. That kind of thing. So now, I think, unless there's like a cataclysm, I think I know what to expect, and I got a good team, so I'm less nervous. I'm a little bit more hopeful because I've been getting a lot of good feedback, and I think I know a few people have said, like, I didn't back #1 because I didn't know if you were going to deliver. Crowdfunding suffers from that, but you delivered, and people seem to like your comic, so I'm going to get issue 1 and issue 2. So I'm hoping on more of that. I want some more of that. So there you go, Zach Tan. Zach Tan says he's hoping to bundle. Happy Sunday from RJ Williams, who was just on my channel. And I was just talking to Luke Stone. I was telling Luke Stone how much his art improved in Call Sign Orion, which is RJ Williams' comic that's launching soon. Looks great. Looks really good. To the point I would like to I might as well talk about this now. This is a good point. If issue 2 does the same or better than issue 1, I'm going to spin the Patriarch off into his own comic. Things look to be tracking that that's going to happen. And then Renzo will have a full Patriarch comic. And then Renzo will have one of the 2 stories in Heroic Tales. Heroic Tales is always going to be 2 stories. And then Heroic Tales will stay what I envisioned it as every issue I could showcase different characters, things like that. So, and then the second story, I would like to have like a rotating artist, you know, kind of like Heroic Tales 1. I had Ron Masicki do the thing, and I would love to work with Ron again. He was fast, professional, and so good, so good. So that's what I would like to do. And one of the people I would like is Luke Stone. How you doing? It's a good plan. I'm friends with Lisa Foyle. Shocker that people like to look at pretty ladies. Yeah, who would have thought? Who would have thought? I like the retro photo. Yeah, I bet Lisa would do a cover as a stretch for your comic or my comic. I don't know, Lisa, but she's welcome. But to tell you the truth, if Lisa is into it, I have a character, a stunning redhead character. Well, the first issue, the redheaded Moll, people have been asking me about her for whatever reason. I think it's because she's a redhead and comic book fans like redheads. She's the only of the 3 women that actually had the dialogue. So her character has been expanded, and man, do I have a shocking story to tell about her. I have the oversized Treasury edition signed by Larry Urban. Oh, wow. Hey, Stippling. How you doing? Stippling is a wonderful artist. Hail Ben, Perpetrator in Perpetuity. There you go. There's a nice Stan Lee alliteration cover comic caption. How's that? How's that? All right, so let's get to G.I. Joe. Thank you, everybody, for letting me go through the comments and everything. Zach Tan snuck in at the last moment. Several comic lines: the Patriarch, Heroic Tales, Unheroic Tales, and Heroic Fails. Heroic funniest home videos. That would be funny. That would be funny. I don't want to do a comic called Unheroic Tales. You know, Unheroic Tales was supposed to be, you know, every once in a while I want to tell a villain story. Like the main bad guy in Mary Sue, he's got a story that I would like to tell. So like one of these issues, I'll do an Unheroic Tales, but that'll always be in Heroic Tales, you know. And that's one of the things. Oh, yes. Things are also tracking that I might offer a second printing of Heroic Tales #1. You know, I already commissioned a cover for it, and I don't want to give any spoils away, but you're gonna love this cover. You're gonna love this cover. Some of you are gonna be like, oh, "Is that?" Yeah. I know I was talking to Fabrizio about I don't really like homage covers. Yet, the second printing of Heroic Tales cover will be an homage, but not to anything that you've ever seen before. You know, Fabrizio was saying that he likes homage covers to lesser known covers. Well, if I say any more, I'll be spoiling. I love the idea of Unheroic Tales. Well, that's my Jimmy is looks at everything from a different perspective. He has interesting. We play our role. He's one of my regulars in my role playing games, and his characters are. I won't let other people role play characters that Jimmy likes to make up because they're always difficult powers to you know what I mean? So, but Jimmy, anything goes. He could have time travel if he wants because he you know, he's more into the exploration than the as we say, the munchkining. The I'm going to just manipulate the rules to have a more power. You know what I mean? So let's get this. So I just read this for the first time maybe a month ago. G.I. Joe was a comic that I would not touch with the 10-foot pole for 2 reasons. I was too old when it came out, so I missed the G.I. Joe toys. My little brother Michael was totally into the G.I. Joe toys. He was the perfect age for G.I. Joe. So Transformers, G.I. Joe, He-Man, I never got into. it. I was too old for that, you know. Star Wars came out when I was in 3rd grade. I was perfect Star Wars age. Fanatic about Star Wars. But again, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I forget what year did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 come out, but that comic, I famously tell the story. It was in my hands. I always call my comic pusher, Larry, who owned the Incredible Pulp, the comic book store. He actually was like, "Oh, check this out! You got to get this." And I picked it up and I looked at it. I was like, "They're making fun of comic books. They're making fun of the X-Men. They're making fun of Frank Miller." And I put it down in disgust and never bought it. And so until Tonic Bowl admonished me that it's a good comic, and I have to get first printings, but I can't afford a first printing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So the closest I got was 5th printing. Although I did get first printing second issue 2, but that's besides the point. So I didn't get this. Now, there's a guy who has been following my channel since the beginning, Arthur, and I got to call Artie. I got to call him. Old timer. He worked for Marvel as a kid. He was a woodchuck, meaning he was one of those kids that would show up at Marvel, and Stan would give him a Long Island Railroad ticket, and they would go to Jack Kirby's house and pick up the artwork and bring it back to Marvel Studios. And then he would give him another ticket. They would go to John Romita's house, and things like that. That was a real thing, a woodchuck. And he was one of those. He was one of the original woodchucks. So he gave me a big bundle of comics, and one of them was a digest of G.I. Joe, and I read that, and I was really impressed. I was really impressed with it. So I'll talk about the things that I really like once I start opening up the comic. So this moment on, I will go page by page, address the comments, go back, address the comments. Okay. G.I. Joe issue 1, you got to hope the first issue is good, but you also hope it gets even better. Yeah. Teenage Mutant when it became its own thing. Yeah, well, I talk about that, and I use the Fantastic Four as an example. Fantastic Four didn't really find its groove until issue 10. I mean, it was a sensation from #1, but issue #1 and issue 13, like, you could see that they were formulating the ideas, and you could see it happening with Heroic Tales. Like, when I made issue #1, Patriarch wasn't going to make another appearance for a long time, but now you got to give the people what they want. You know what I mean? And if things get crazy and people love Mary Sue, yeah, I'll make a Mary Sue comic. But the problem is it'll have to be somebody else, So, like, I give Renzo the choice. Do you want to do the Patriarch? Do you want to do Mary Sue? You know what I mean? Or maybe he could do Mary Sue and the Patriarch, and then somebody else, he doesn't touch Heroic Tales. I don't know, because I'd like the comics to come out in a timely manner. Of course, Renzo could do it all, and then we got 5 years between comics. You know what I mean? So there we go. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Okay, so let's take a look at G.I. Joe. So here we got Trimpy and McCloud. Look at this cover. Again, I paid no mind to this. No mind to G.I. Joe. Introducing America's new sensational news special forces missions for the 80s. So let's open this up. All right. The price is $1.50, and I'm pretty sure that other comics at the time were cheaper. My mind is going a blank a little bit. But what year is this? This is 1982. Yes. Yeah, so this is better paper. This is better paper than the regular stuff at the time, and it's thicker. It's got a bigger page count. So this is like a comic and a half. So heavy artillery laser, G.I. Joe weapons profiles, code name HAL. So here we got, like, I love these, like, little diagrams of it looks like a perfect blend of, like, a Jack Kirby, John Buscema, schematic, more realistic. I don't know how realistic it is. I was never in the military. So we got Operation Lady Doomsday. And again, this comic was a toy tie-in. It was just, we're going to sell toys. We're going to sell toys and comics. You know what I mean? Just like ROM, just like the Micronauts, just like the Godzilla, because the Godzilla was made as an ancillary to the Godzilla edition into the Shogun Warriors toy. There were a lot of toy tie-in comics, and they turned out to be pretty good. ROM is an excellent comic. Micronauts was a phenomenal comic. They had no business being that good. And I'm a flawed human. I just assumed that this comic was gonna, I didn't care. I didn't care. It was a military comic based on a toy that my little brother liked. So here we go. Let's read the cast of creators. I don't know if you could read that, but I'll read it to you. Script: Larry Hama. Larry Hama is one of these Renaissance men in comic books. He could draw, he could write, he could act. He was a musician. He was in the military. I think he was a martial arts expert. And a very powerful presence. Man, I went to a comic convention with the Express. I went to go meet Heather Antos and Larry Hama. Heather Antos, I was able to talk to. No problems. Talk to her. She's no interest in coming on my channel. I bought just for the sake of experimentation, $10 for a bundle of number ones of Heather Antos comics, and they were awful. I did a video on that, so there's that. Larry Hama, he just has this stare that just put up a force field, and I hate to say it, but he was, to me anyway, very unapproachable. He did not look like he was happy. So I was like, I didn't have a comic to sign. I didn't want to, at the time, I didn't like G.I. Joe, so it would have been an awkward conversation. So I backed out of it. I cowered out. So Larry Hama. Penciler Herb Trimpe. This is going to be mean, but I never liked Herb Trimpe. And I had Frankie B. Washington on my channel. Frankie B. Washington does that wonderful comic, Cowboys and Kaiju. Guy's got an infectious personality, just like the happiest guy ever. Guy just got hip transplants, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And he did a couple of covers and stuff for Alternate Comics. You talk to him for more than 5 minutes, boom, he's talking about Herb Trimpe. You know what I mean? Just, so because of him, I'm going back and revisiting my opinions about Herb Trimpe. So scripter Larry Hama, penciler Herb Trimpe, inker Bob McLeod. I've always liked Bob McLeod. I can't, just a solid inker. Letterer Kim Novak, colorist Glynis Wynn, one of my favorite colorists. Editor Tom DeFalco, editor-in-chief Jim Shooter. There you go. It all comes back to Jim Shooter for like Legendary Comics. Now look at this nice splash page here. And I'm just going to talk as if this is people's, G.I. Joe. I could have new people. I could have whatever. So this is a splash page. Splash page is one panel, and it's usually the first page in a comic, not always. And you can have multiple splash pages, but usually a splash page is the first. The only rule for a splash page is it has to be one panel, and it's usually the first. And it has enough room so that you can put all the, the credits and opening setting stuff. So going further now, I'm going to turn the page, and I will talk about the comic and then address the comments. So what do we got here? We got the setup. We got the setup over here. We got the Amtrak train, comic book colors. You know what I mean? Like this kind of stuff makes me giggle, but at the same time I miss it. Like a green polka dot, black polka dot scarf. That who wears that? Maybe some like hipster, ironic, artsy fartsy girl in Manhattan. You know what I mean? But a blue collar worker, train conductor. With the purple hat, how gosh, but I love it. I love this color. The Men in Black, purple jumpsuit over here. You know what I mean? So what's going on now? This woman is a scientist. She's like one of the top physicists, and she's working on like, atomic fissionable secrets, and it's wonderfully vague. So because all you need to know is that she's the scientist working on fissionable stuff. You don't know exactly. And she's given a press conference, and then we got these awesome, just look at these designs, these wings with all of these circuit boards, everything, but then a propeller in the back. It's like high-tech Jack Kirby nonsense, and then a propeller in the back. You know what I mean? And I just can't, like they have the scaffolding to keep this machinery away from the person. Otherwise that propeller would chop their buttholes. They would slice that crack would go another way. It'd look like a hot cross bun instead of just like, a sliced hot dog bun. What the hell am I talking about? But anyway, it's just impractical and wonderful at the same time. Just, you know, and here we have the introduction of the Baroness, one of the, dare I say, knockout sexiest comic book characters of all time. She's just that dark, stern librarian teacher, you know, in the hot outfit. Which of course, she doesn't have the hot outfit over here. And what are they doing? They're breaking in, they're murderizing people, and they're stealing the scientist over here. You know, there's the Baroness. She's got the beauty mark. She's just, you know, an evil knockout. You know, we've all been there. Well, I'm not going to say much, but we've all been there, the evil knockout. So where are we? So now I'm going to address the comments, and that'll be the format going forward for anybody who's new. Toys, comics, when the advertising is better than the products at the time. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. When Larry writes, he provides layouts. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, and he's notoriously strict, and he's notoriously like hard on his staff. Like he you know, he demands high quality that, you know, he himself would provide. Frankie B. Washington is an old friend of Brian and mine. He's a good guy. Yeah, Brian. Yeah, Frankie is a good guy. You know, I would like to commission him for a variant cover in the future. Baroness is the dark feminine. She sure is. She sure is. So now we got, you know, abducting. You know, she's feisty. She's putting up a fight. You know, she ain't going down without a struggle. And then what does it happen? The Baroness just she straps this impractical device on her and just throws her out the window, and it floats, and she flies away. Dr. Bernhardt into the and what does the Baroness do? She's just holding on. She's just holding on. She ain't strapped in. She don't need no straps. Straps is for people, for suckers who follow OSHA regulations. She's just gonna hold on like a dark feminine, you know. And they float up to the Cobra chopper. Now I'm calling a little BS on this because this is air currents, and this prop wash should be pushing the balloon away. You know, so little BS, but you know, whatever. And we got the Pentagon, nice establishing shot. This impractical room, you know, giant ceilings, highlights, circuit board, paneling boards, you know what I mean? It's just great. You know, this is so old school. I love it. And they're just watching everything and try to rescue her, and she dies. Cobra. And, you know, the generals are all confounded. This I love. In the Pentagon, you know, in the computer room, he's just smoking a pipe. We got to do something about this. You know what I mean? And they're all perplexed in perpetuity. How's that? And now we got one comment. Baroness is bought because she was comics regular bad guy, but didn't become a figure until Third Way. I don't. Stipler, could you clarify that? I'm not sure I understand. All right. So, you know, now we're seeing the pomp and circumstances. Cobra Commander. I love this symbol. Is there, you know, it's really is a good symbol. Now, that wasn't a Marvel comic. That was a. Forgive me for not remembering, but is G.I. Joe Hasbro? Is it Mattel? And they obviously came up with that because these toys came out before the movie. So yeah, great logo, great symbol. So he's like, we got to get G.I. Joe. You're a good officer, Flag, and you'll make a good politician. But that all blah 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 blah. Sarge, let's see those G.I. Joe. So now it's like, I don't want to deal with G.I. Joe. Yeah, we got to deal with G.I. Joe. There's always that. It's a wonder, like how anything ever gets done when like every general is just like old fashioned, stick in the mud kind of guy. But it's like a trope, you know. Did anybody ever see the movie? So I Married an Axe Murderer, Mike Myers. In my opinion, Mike Myers' best movie. The cop who wants to go out and solve the crime, he's talking to his superior officer, the police commissioner, and it's Alan Arkin, and Alan Arkin is just like a sweetheart. He's like, oh yeah, anything you need. And the cop is like, no, you're supposed to be rough, you're supposed to yell at me. And he's like, well, I don't want to yell at you, you know, because you know, we did study, and that and he's like, you know, so the guy's all mad. And then finally there really is an axe murderer, and he's like, I gotta go. And Alan Arkin just like, hey, don't I don't want to see any of this rough stuff. We do this by the book in this office, and yells at him. And then he goes, how was that? Was that good? And he's like, thank you. That was perfect. But I just love that trope. You got to have the general that's just a jerk. We don't do it this way. We follow the rules. We're going to go in this. No, we can't. Unregulation military haircuts, girl, on a, that's what girls do in the military, right? They answer the phone, hot secretaries, and they're pulling up all of the G.I. Joes. We got Hawk, we got Grand Slam, we got Short Fuse, Flash, Grunt, Breaker, Rock and Roll, Zap, Scarlet, Steeler, Clutch, Stalker, Snake Eyes, and Shooter. Is that a reference to Jim Shooter? Is he in the G.I. Joe? I've never heard that name before except for this panel. So now they're going up all the dossiers. I love that I think there's not a person that hasn't gone through like the Marvel universe, the DC's who's who, that doesn't love dossiers on it. And that's what I'm trying to do with my cards. Here is a card that maybe not a lot of you have seen, but this is the suit. This was the like bonus unlisted card. Like, really, you could get this card on Heroic Tales campaign number. Well, you could get it on the active campaign. All the cards are $2 a piece. Just tell me which card you want, or you could buy all 7 for $10. But here's the dossier of the suit, all of his powers and everything like that. I love that. So here we got Abernathy. He's driving out there in his military to the motor pool. Again, he's driving through town or whatever in this kind of futuristic, kind of retro, kind of realistic, kind of not realistic tank. And I'm sure this is based on a toy. Just freaking cool looking. The rule of cool, right? The rule of cool is more important than the rule of realism. And nobody did the rule of cool better than like the triumvirate, Buscema, Kirby, Perez Byrne are the the Siamese twins in my mind. All right. What are we? It's Hasbro. Okay, so it was Hasbro. Okay. Third way, after first and second way. Thank you, Sheldon. I love that drawing. That is really cool. Good morning, Crenshaw. I was just on with Crenshaw last night. Had a lot of talk. Had a good time talking with Crenshaw and Dio. You can check that out. Good morning, Zach. When there's a crazy general that'll do anything to protect freedom. Yeah. I mean, comic books have the obsessive general, like Thunderbolt Ross. G.I. Joe has this general. It's always such a fun trope. Figures were released annually. She came out as a figure in the 3rd year. Oh, okay. Most characters debuted in conjunction with the action figures coming out. Baroness is the only one to be in the comic first. Oh, okay. Now I got a question that I didn't know until Stippling just did. Did Marvel create the Baroness, or were they given like plans? Include her, see if she's popular, and we'll make a toy later. I don't know. Did Larry Hama actually create the Baroness? And if so, Larry, throw money at that guy. Throw money at that guy. Okay, so now, again, this is just info dump, but what are they doing right? They're moving, they're talking, they're showing off cool stuff while it's info dump. And here we go down to the G.I. Joe Training Center. And I like Snake Eyes is shooting a target from 4 feet away. If anybody's shot, we could all do that. Scarlet's got this like repeating crossbow. I just love that a repeating crossbow. It's impractical. Just use a gun, but who cares? It's the rule of cool. Machine guns over here. These two guys are fighting. This guy's cleaning his gun. This guy's just hanging out in a bubble, holding his breath. It's just cool. It's just cool. And the general's going around and like calling attention, and the team is being assembled right here. Dun, dun, dun. You could just hear the rising music, right? And briefing: when the light is on, entrance is forbidden. And this is Ariel's This is satellite photographs of Cobra Island. Now, this is where the up until this point, I was like, okay, this is good. This is a good comp. But the next couple pages is what won me over. Absolutely won me over. So this is a high resolution hologram. We're almost certain they're holding Burkhart here in these old Spanish forts. You know, blah blah blah. There's a pulse. So now he's explaining the obstacles. There's a pulse Doppler radar on the mountain that could spot a hang glider clear to the horizon. Surface to air missile sites all over the place. Cobra is prepared for anything. Getting in there will be hairy. Strength of the garrison, Scarlet asks. You know, I'm just going to finish up this thought before I address the comments. A full battalion, 1,200 men. The perimeter is heavy with concertina wire, mines, tank traps, and machine gun bunkers. The presence of a high voltage cable means they got a heavy generator, which means the fencing is electrified. Sorry, I asked. And then just going down the list of all of the obstacles that they're going to have to face. And this is the Baroness. Don't ever turn your back on her unless she's dead. And then I would search her for grenades. And this is the woman we got to get. You know, the physicist. And isn't she a traitor? She's not a traitor. She was abducted and a Cobra. So this is where I like this now. So he's like, calm down, Short Fuse. And I guess Short Fuse is, you know, a descriptor for his personality as well as his job. We each took an oath. So, you know, this is the page that really got me. We each took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States that guarantees the right of every citizen to disagree with the government. Oh, that's right. Burkhart, I glossed over something. Burkhart, she was holding a press conference because she was saying she no longer wants to work in this top secret research anymore because they're going to build more and more destructive weapons. And she didn't join the science to make weapons. She joined the science to further explore, you know, the nature of the universe and enhance the human condition. So she, you know, the war hawks are like, she's a traitor, and all the liberal hippies are like, yay, she's a hero, blah, 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 blah. You know, she to work on a bomb that could kill millions of people, like whether, you know, whatever you want to say, war hawk, or it's got a weigh on your soul. You know, even what's his name, who why can't I think of his name? But like he, you know, was working on the bomb to end World War II, and even he was just having a tough time with it. So you have the right to disagree. You know, Snake Eyes is signaling me that he wants to know, how could we pair the individual? So Snake Eyes is sign languaging, and Scarlet is reading his signs. How could the rights of an individual compare to the safety of the entire world? Wouldn't a B-52 bombing raid solve this problem with less risks? So, legitimate question. Snake Eyes is saying, let's just nuke the island from orbit. It takes care of because they're afraid that the Cobra is going to torture this woman to get these nuclear secrets. So just write her off, blow up the island, go get ice cream. And he says, right here, this is the panel that sold me. No, we're the good guys, remember? The island has a civilian population. Besides, it's not our job to judge Dr. Burkhart. What is our job? We're soldiers. Our job is to follow orders, to do the impossible, to make it look easy. You know, we're G.I. Joe. You want to do easy? Go get a job in an office someplace. You know what I mean? Our job is to rescue, to do the right thing. This regular people on this island that are being conscripted by Cobra, things like that. You got me. You got me. I'm all aboard in this comic now. All aboard. We got a good guy to root for. We got a comic book standing up for the individual rights of the individual. You know, the military as a force for good. You know, even that old fogey general wasn't a bad guy. He was just an old fogey. You know what I mean? And I like it showed that Snake Eyes kind of has like a dark side to him, or maybe he's just, you know, asking the question to to enlighten everybody. I don't know. I just thought this was really good. These 2 pages, you had me. You got me. So now we cut to the island. It's dark. It's sinister. It's creepy. It's fortress. You know what I mean? Good symbolism. And you know, you'll never get a chance to use your filthy drugs on me. This whole island is going to be bombed off the map at any moment. So she understands. She's a smart person. She knows the risk to save her, a traitor. They're not going to risk it. They're just going to blow up the island. So go ahead, do whatever you want. We're all dead. Razor wire, whatever, doesn't mean a hill of beans when a fuel air bomb goes off and just roasts the poop out of everybody. So there you go. Let's a lot of comments. Baroness. You don't like the Baroness? A lot of nothing. I don't Baroness, even though I never liked G.I. Joe, I always liked the Baroness. Larry created the Baroness. She became popular, so Hasbro made a figure. Wow, does he own a piece of that? Yeah, thanks for telling me that. Wait till I talk about Dr. Emily Burkhart. Okay. Oppenheimer. Thank you, Frank. Thank you. I couldn't remember the name. Sometimes, brain freezes. The biggest thing about Burkhart is she's fundamentally opposed to the Joe's mission and the purpose. The old nuke the island trope. Yeah, nuke. What was that? That was Aliens 2, right? Alien that made that line popular. Nuke the site from orbit. It's our only chance. And that became like a trope. And I gotta say, like when me and my friends get together to play role-playing games, I don't think a session goes by without somebody saying that. It's just like a joke. You're thinking of Oppenheimer or Colonel Courage? Yeah, I was thinking of Oppenheimer. I just couldn't remember the name. Courageous Cat. Frank, you got to be my age if you remember Courageous Cat. Now I want to kind of go on YouTube, see if I can get some Courageous Cat comics, cartoons. Doctor returns 3 times in the series. Each time it's enforced she's opposed to the Joes as an organization. Oh, okay. 8 panels on that page. You could tell a whole lot of story here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And Fabrizio, look at all of the dialogue. I'm going to clear this comment. Just look at all the dialogue. Now, my comic Heroic Tales is pretty sparse on dialogue. And that's one of my criticisms. I hate when a comic is sparse on dialogue. But I also just didn't want to fill it with words for the sake of filling it with words. And I still got Mike Barron told me I used too many words. But look at this. This is the way a comic was in the 80s. A lot of words. So I really got to up the word count to make my comic more in line with 80s comics. And then Chuck Dixon. Chuck Dixon doesn't say this. Crenshaw says this about Chuck. Chuck Dixon says they toned down the patriotism of that speech by Larry Harris. Oh, really? Really? So it was more, what is the word? Jingoistic? They toned it down? Okay, well, it still works, but I wonder what the full unedited speech goes. And now we got the Evil Lair. The Evil Evil Lair is just so freaking cool. An Evil Lair. We got Cobra Commander over here in the hood. They're looking like the Empire, saluting. They don't quite, or maybe I missed it or I forgot, but like, what is the mission statement of Cobra? Like, what do they want? Are they communists? Are they super fascists? Are they mercantilists? Are they religious fanatics? What is the motivation of Cobra? Because right now they're just Cobra. They're just, we don't like Joe. Are they capitalists? Like, do they want to make bombs and sell them? Because this, the way these guys behave is fanatic. There's the Baroness over here. Cobra Commander, radar spotted a submarine on the surface 20 miles north of the island. Is there just long enough to launch a small boat and raiding party? Excellent. So let's go. We got the symbol behind his head like an evil halo. And she's like, Dr. Bernhardt, you will soon see the distinct advantages of having no scruples whatsoever. I got no scruples. You should say that to all your men because they just learned that they're all expendable. They're all watching. This guy's blowing bubble gum. He's just too cool for school. We got Scarlett's hair. Again, redheads. Guys, redheads. You know, they're all watching. You know, I love this. You know, they got the art down. Like, you got G.I. Joe on the right, you got Cobra on the left. You know what I mean? Like, they're facing each other, but you know, the storytelling is perfect. There's no disconnect in the brain. And then they fire on the boat and they take off. You know, the Joes come in on this, again, realistic yet fantastic looking devices and, you know, military apparatus. Don't leave. You'll miss my grand finale while I whistle Stars and Stripes Forever while using this laser blaster to strafe the beach in time for the kettle drum parts. Bah, bah, bah. You know, so they're patriotic. You know what I mean? Back in the 80s, it was cool to be pro-America, you know? Mercantilism, to work all the time. Sheldon Martin. Interweb says world domination and impose the authoritarian rule. So they just want to dominate for the sake of dominate. Like, do they imagine themselves the good guys? Because Cobra Commander fully knows that he's a bad guy. He says he has no scruples. Like Dr. Doom. Say what you want about Dr. Doom. He's an egomaniac. But he wants to improve the world. At least his idea is that he's going to improve the world and make it better. Like Morgoth from Lord of the Rings, he just wanted to rule. He was an anarchist. He just wanted to destroy because jealousy or whatever, or break the toys, you know. But Sauron to me was the scarier bad guy. Morgoth just wanted to, he was just a child tantrum. Morgoth was the first big baddie. He was like a greater god than Sauron was his lieutenant. Morgoth is gone. Now we got Sauron. Sauron was obsessed with order and rule. And he wanted to impose rule over Middle Earth, which he considered chaotic and out of control and, you know, not unified. And it couldn't achieve the greatness without a single unified leader. In his mind, he knew he was cruel. He knew he was oppressive, but he knew that, like, the ends justified the means. And if only, you know, people would stop fighting him, he could elevate Middle Earth into the greatness that it should be. You know, is this, because I get the feeling just from this, I have no scruples whatsoever. Are they just, you know, are they more Morgothian as opposed to Sauronian? How's that? I'm making up my own terms. So Cobra is for world domination. It's fascism based. Now, I mean, like, you could be fascism based because we want to make the trains run on time, or you could be fascism based just because I want to be the guy in charge. I want to put my boot in people's faces. Cobra Commander was a failed used car sales that started a pyramid scheme to form Cobra. Is that real? Is that real? Cobra is about freedom from higher taxes to let excessive work allow them to dominate. This was the book every kid wanted. Those G.I. Joe commercials worked. Yes, they did. And there's a new, is it a movie, cartoon, whatever, about like the toys that shaped us. And it talks about like how bad, like, oh, these were just toy commercials. These were just toy commercials, all the cartoons. Yeah, but they were good. They were good, you know? You know, the ROM comic was, let's be realistic. The ROM toy was a piece of crap. You know, it was, you know, I used to call it an in-action figure, but the comic was good, you know. And this speech by was it Hawk? You know, it just, you know, it got me in the old patriotic feels. Maybe want to, you know, shows it, if anything, it, like little kids, like, oh, G.I. Joe's the good guys. They're going to do the hard thing. They're going to try to save, at the cost of their own safety and life. They're going to save lives of people that they don't even know. And even, excuse me, the one person they do know, Dr. Bernhardt, they don't even like. You know what I mean? That's great. We got the landing over here. Look at the storytelling here. We're not even reading, and we're following along the story really well. So, you know, these guys are coming back from oh, we fought G.I. Joe, and look at this, we got beat up, and the Baroness is scowling at them. I say we kill the hostage now and send out fire teams to sweep the whole island. Don't mess with the Baroness. Just kill her now. Cut our losses. Kill her. Strafe from all. No, my good Baroness. That's exactly what they want us to do. No, they don't. They don't want you to kill anybody, right? They're the good guys. My initial ending is a feint to draw them away so that we will, look at this. We have Dr. Bernhardt, therefore they must come to us. And then when they arrive, we'll do the full frontal assault. We got tanks, we got Imperial stormtroopers. You know what I mean? It's just, all right. What are they doing? I like this. So, Breaker, what makes our mission planning honcho so sure that this is the spot where the underground electric cable runs? Simple, Flash. This is an unmanned radar site, and the power source radar screens must be in the fort. Draw a straight line between the radar and the fort. You got bad news. That's no cable. That's quarter-inch steel pipe. Well, this is what I do for a living. If you think that there's going to be an electric cable just thrown under the ground to power up a huge facility like this, and it's not going to be protected by quarter-inch steel pipe, it's gonna be destroyed pretty quick. You know what I mean? So of course they should have understood that that's, you put electric cable under the ground unprotected, it's gonna fail. So of course it's in quarter-inch steel pipe. As we galvanize steel, that's one of the things we do. We carry these freaking pipes. You got to spin them. You got to get in the pit, you put the pipes, you spin them. You got to make sure they're level, because if they're kinked, it's going to be hard to pull the wire through. Pain in the neck. And then the water always comes in, and it's February and it's cold, and I'm miserable and complaining, and my back hurts because you're bending over the whole time spinning it. That's what I do for a living. So Breaker, you may be a whiz with the communication, but otherwise you're a real dummy. The cable's inside the pipe. Come on, you can tell me G.I. Joe didn't expect a galvanized steel pipe. That's just standard electrical procedure. That's the only thing that got me. Like it got me to full on stop and think about the comic. Why? Because that's my business. You know what I mean? I'm sure somebody is a drywall guy and they're like, that's not going to do this. You know what I mean? But that's like, I'll watch movies and I'll stop the movie. I'm like, look at that pipe work in the background. What kind of idiot ran those pipes? My wife's like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, there's a scene in The Exorcist, and my wife's on edge. We're watching The Exorcist, and it's the scene where the doctor is talking to Linda Blair's mother in the room, and he offers her a cigarette, which makes me laugh. The doctor gives her a cigarette to smoking in the office, but I go, stop. My wife's like, what? And I go, look at that pipe in the background, that 3/4 pipe going into that switch. Who ran that pipe? She's like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong? You scared the crap out of me. And I was like, okay. So let's address the chat. Feldsbug says I was 10 at the time. Perfect. Smells man. It's true about Cobra Commander. Okay, Stippling Vaughn. He I just think that he could stir up this kind of loyalty and motivation, and he couldn't sell cars. You know what I mean? I had to jump in because Cobra Commander has 3 backstories: the comics and the cartoon. And what's the other one? The one you make up in your head when you're playing with them. It says they don't see themselves as good, but right, basically out with the weekend with the power. Yeah, well, that's the problem with these fascist dictators, is they're right. That's, to me, is the whole problem with all this stuff. It's like, when I was a kid, I grew up Roman Catholic, Irish and Italian, had it on both sides, went to church, was the altar boy, went to Catholic school and everything. And of course, you go to that rebellious page. Religion destroyed the world, religion is the best, and then you learn about all the atrocities of Stalin and Mao and everything like that. And you're like, religion, and and you start to realize that the common denominator isn't the beliefs. Some beliefs are good, some beliefs are bad. The common denominator is the zealotry. And that, to me, is the bad part. Believe what you want, but don't be a zealot. That's thus therein lies the problem. Enough preaching by John from John's Long Box. Stippling Vaughn, G.I. Joe works so well because Larry served in the military. Yes, he's writing what you know. And it's funny because I just had this discussion on Friday with Oscar Carreno, my artist on Eddie is Doomed and colorist on Heroic Tales and Eddie is Doomed, because I wanted to come up with a Mexican superhero that lives in one of the shanty towns, one of the slums. It's called Ciudad Nezca, I think. It's the largest slum in the world, and it's just Renzo was just like, yeah, that's bad. That's bad. You don't go there. And Oscar's like, yeah, and I had this idea. And make a long story short, I was talking about it, and Oscar's just like, well, set it in Brooklyn, set it in Bronx, write what you know. You don't know Mex, and he's absolutely right. And I said, well, that's why I'm talking to you and Renzo about this. So we'll see. The idea is still in the embryonic stage. Yeah, but as a kid, the pipe needed to be explained to me. Right, right, absolutely right. But what you do is, okay, now we're at the steel quarter pipe, and then you explain. To have him surprised by it, the so-called expert took me out of the book. Maybe 10-year-old kids wouldn't, but you know what I mean? But 56-year-old electrician is like, yeah, of course, you dummies. 10-year-old stippling Vaughn is like, oh no, we got a hardship. You know what I mean? I admit that I'm the outlier here. We can't be friends anymore, John, because my nostalgia goggles and the 7-year-old child attachment to Rom, it was a brick and I loved it. That's perfectly logical, perfectly valid. You know what I mean? Like my wife and I were talking about that last night, that the things we loved as a kid that were objectively terrible toys, bad cartoons, and we freaking loved them. The movies is the third origin. Oh, okay. The first rule of storytelling is you have to dumb down the characters so that they can explain everything to the audience. Yes, that's why. This is how arrogant of me. I'm going to correct Larry Hama. How arrogant of me. But I'll have the expert digs the hole, and the other guy goes, "Oh no, we got a 1/4-inch steel galvanized pipe." Oh, the guy's like, "Of course. What do you think? I'm a dummy? This isn't my first rodeo." And he explains what he has to do. Okay. Rom is the only Marvel comic that I read. Oh, what do you think of it, Frank? Isn't it good? It's better than it has any right to be. Movies is fan fiction. They don't count. I didn't see any of the movies. I didn't see any Transformers movies. I like the third backstory, the one I preferred, which he came from UK Comic Action Force. Basically, Cobra Commander ran another terrorist organization that he ditched to create Cobra, changed identities. Oh, so he's Che Guevara, didn't he? Like ditch loyalties and I got my ROM toy in my drawing studio. Did the new Marvel Legends ROM figure come out? I'm really tempted. So let's see. How do they deal with the dreaded 1/4-inch galvanized steel pipe? What do we do now? We're 1,000 miles away from the nearest acetylene torch. I don't even have my P39, my G.I. Joe can opener with me. Stand back breaker. It'll be real touchy. I can't be off by a hair, but anything the torch could do, my laser rifle could do better. Now, again, this is me. I'm the outlier here. You got a battery-operated a grinder. Battery-operated grinder. If they got laser torch and stuff, they got a battery operated. He pulls out his battery operated grinder, and it's perfect because that's what you use it for. You could cut around it, you know what I mean, and cut around it, then slice it, break it up. You got the wire right there. That's what it's for. If any of you ever pursuing a career in crime, do yourself a favor, go down to Home Depot, get yourself a DeWalt battery operated grinder, and make sure you got battery. It is the greatest tool for that. There you go. So, there's the cable. Now, here's another thing. It should be 2 wires. One wire is the line. One wire is the neutral, circuit. So there should be 2 wires there. And and then you got more. So they got the wire here. Boom. Everything goes. They're all prepared for the signal, and they're ready to. And of course, my printer starts printing stuff. It does like a random cleaning. Scared the poop out of me. So now they're ready to take the word to cut the power. We're ready. Dr. Bernhardt sitting on this evil throne mechanism. All the G.I. Joes, you could subtly see that this is a woman, the way they draw the faces. It's like Scarlet, and they're ready to go. And I love this. 20-55 hours, the airfield. They're sinking around. They're going past everything. 20-58 hours, the Pentagon. This is the hydrofoil. They're only 6 men in that team. Do you expect them to spearhead this operation? Yes, sir. Opposition should be minimal. The airfield diversion will bleed troops to the other side. So, G.I. Joe is doing moves and counter moves. The landing over this side of the island was to distract them so that they come from this side of the island. And if the diversion fails, our men are on their own all the way. The stakes, if the hydrofoil is coming, 59 hours, 50 miles south of Cobra Island. They're zooming in on this cool looking, kind of practical, kind of realistic, kind of fantasy stuff. I love that stuff. Oh, let's address the chat. Marvel Legends is just starting to ship, not in the stores yet. Okay. I'm so tempted. Did they have battery operated grinders in 1980? I don't know, but they had laser guns. They had the impractical flying fan things. I don't think a battery operated grinder would have been too out of the suspension of disbelief. It could have been corded, and he has a battery pack on his back. You know what I mean? All right, let's turn the page. Am I imagining? Yeah, no ads. So far, no ads. So now they're throwing bombs. Oh, let's everything's blowing up. What they really needed was a close up of a guy looking at his watch. You know what I mean? How a guy underwater pointing to his watch with a knife in his mouth. That's what they needed right here. Boom! Everybody's jumping in. Boom! 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 They're blowing everything up. Little dead Cobra guy over here. They're monitoring everything. 10 hours. The fort. Dun 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 dun. They're coming in. They're sneaking in. This guy's getting choked out from the back. Snake Eyes over here. Cobra Commander wants a constant radar check on the southern air sea approaches. There's nothing here for 150 miles. Oh yeah? Well, you got Scarlet and you got Snake Eyes over here. This is my first G.I. Joe comic, and even I know you're doomed. You're doomed, just like Eddie. So here we go. They're going through the jungle, meeting some. The two teams are now meeting up. They flushed out the resistance. Cobra Commander is just unnecessarily form-fitting uniform, issuing commands, from her buxom evilness, patience, Baroness. She's like, kill him, we gotta kill him, what do they say? Like, if you're in a terrorist cell, and there's one of the terrorists are a woman, she's the most dangerous person in the room, because to survive as a woman in that environment, you got to be tougher than the average bear. Rom had me thinking I was reading alien history. It was so good. Frank, absolutely. Rom, I did a Rom. I think I did Rom #1 for Sunday Comics. I think it's time to revisit Rom. It's one of the later issues. Rom dominated Marvel for a while. Like the Dire Wraiths were the main villains in the X-Men, and the Fantastic Four dealt with them. Doctor Strange dealt with them. And it all came from a toy that I'm not going to say any bad things, because who was it that Feldsbug? I don't want to hurt Feldsbug's feelings. So let's go to the next page. But Cobra's credibility is worthless unless we carry out a threat to kill her now. Go ahead and get it over with. I'm not going to help you in any way. All in good time, Miss Dr. Bernhardt. One must defer pleasures if one wishes to savor them. So, it's stuff like this that makes me think that, at least at this point in time, Cobra Commander is just a psycho. Maybe he's just a charismatic psycho. Like, he just wants to save her, killing her. Like, that doesn't sound like, we want to save the world. It doesn't sound like we want to improve the world. It does, it just sounds like I'm a psycho. What do I know? G.I. Joe, heavy assault team has landed. Rock and Roll, take up the right wing. Clutch and Grand Slam, take the left. Just so dripping with machismo and testosterone, Rock and Roll, take the left. Clutch and Grand Slam, bring your big old balls over here and take them out. Steeler, you, Zap, and I are rolling right up the middle, and take those big old penises, flop them over your shoulders so they don't get in the way of the machine gun action, and take them all out. Oh man, back then we were allowed to celebrate all things masculine, in the 80s. Fall back. Nothing can stop them. They got huge, huge G.I. Joe and American penises coming. They're smashing through the wire and breaking inside the perimeter. Nothing can stop the testicles on these people. You know, here comes Cobra. Get back, Cobra. Rock and roll is here to stay. You know, just no need to do that. There is no need to drive this motorcycle over that, but it's freaking cool. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to land, he's going to hit the ground, he's going to take off his helmet, he's going to pop open a beer, he's going to chug it, and then this is just so freaking cool. I see why everybody liked this as a kid, you know, and to be honest, I wish there was more of this. You know, this Star Wars, like literally there was like a same toy from the Micronauts that had this turret gun on the top. It's just so cool, just driving in, bam, boom, boom, you know. And they're throwing in grenades into the room. You know, it's just awesome. Dr. Bernhardt is still strapped to the chair over here. Baroness is just like, kill her, just freaking kill her, screaming like a crazy person, kill, you know. And then, of course, they got a Rolls Royce. You know, I didn't notice that the first time I read it. They're just bringing her out in a Rolls Royce, you know, the Nazi references and everything, you know. Now do a dungeon board game. Oh yeah, dungeon board game. I got that. It's right over there. That is a great game. Are you a gamer too, Frank? That's a good idea. Ads weren't needed. It was an ad for the toys. Yeah, and it was twice as much. A regular comic was like 75 cents. So maybe the higher price, the double size, no ads. Was this just for issue number 1? I don't have issue number 2. I got to order. And then Rom, I compare Cobra Commander to the Red Skull. Both are sadists and deranged. Yes. Originally, the Red Skull, he just hated everything. He just wanted to see the world burn. He wasn't particularly, he hated Hitler. You know, that's the reason why the worst origin in the history of comics, he was Hitler's busboy. And Hitler was yelling at the incompetence of those around him and said, this busboy, look at him. He hates me. He hates you. So I could turn this busboy into a better commander than the rest of you. And that's what he did. He promoted him and he became the Red Skull because he just hated everybody. He was just death, you know? So yeah, I could see the comparison because as of right now, and I may be wrong, but from the words that I see, I'm getting the impression that Cobra Commander just wants to destroy. He's just twisted, you know. Whereas I think Baroness probably wants to rule. You know, she's like, you know, she after work, she's just like opens up her door and she's got like guys like with ball gags in her mouth, and she's like, "You're worthless. Now serve me." I was going to use another word, but I'll leave it at that. So there's the fishing village. So these are the people, you know, that Cobra Command, or not Cobra, G.I. Joe Command Center was just like, you know, there's civilians here. We can't just have civilian losses. But unfortunately, they're all dead. I don't believe it. Cobra wiped out the entire village, women, kids, everybody. They did it to keep them from helping us. It's our fault if we haven't come here. This is just excellent. This is excellent, and this is for kids. You know, this shows you who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, and I feel bad. These people don't really exist. They're drawings on paper. You know, I didn't know they were there, and now I feel bad for them. You know what I mean? It's evoking real emotions. Excellent. Calm down, Flash. It's not our fault. We should do the decent thing and bury them. Wrong, Command Breaker. We're not burying anybody, no matter how innocent they were. We got to set an ambush to set. So again, this is conflict of interest. He wants to do the right thing. He feels miserable. This is my fault. We got to do the right thing and bury. No. And is he a bad guy? No. We got to stay focused. You know, you are good guys, but we still got to do this unpleasant task, and then later on we'll do the right thing. Just excellent, you know. 22:30, like this ticking clock coming down here. Cobra Command, you know, the tanks coming in and firing, bah, 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 bah. Tank shots, you know, guy in this motorcycle just driving by and shooting people, like kind of like that Star Wars, you know, driving to the Forest of Endor kind of fight. The fishing village, tanks are just running around, taking out, you know, blowing up their accompaniment, and shooting the wheels off this Rolls Royce. Poor Rolls Royce. It's a cool car. It's not the car's fault. He comes jumping in. At least it's not a Tesla. Am I right? Jeez. Ooh, even Cobra has standards not to drive a Tesla. So this guy comes swooping in with his rocket pack, rescues the Baron, rescues Dr. Bernhardt, and surprise, it's the Baroness. Dun dun dun! You got yourself a crazy bee. And he's like, everything is according to plan, Dr. Bernhardt. I knew that they wouldn't have time to extract the doomsday plan from you unless I had to neutralize the blah 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 blah. So I set up crazy old Baroness. I just threw her to the wolves because I have no scruples. I have no scruples. So, oh yeah, I almost the balls and penises weren't big sellers on the action figures. Well, yeah, you had to write away from them. You had to mail in. You had to cut out the Hasbro proof of purchase seals, and you had to collect 10 of them, and then you get the balls and penises attachment. Very popular with the ladies. Each issue afterwards was regular priced and a regular page count. Okay, I thought so. Like you said, I didn't buy issue 2 yet. This was not cheap. So normally when I buy back issues, I buy 5 at a time, unless the price is like dirt cheap, then whatever. But but I'll buy 5 at a time. Read 5 in a little burst, and then I take like a month or so, and then get another 5. That's how I buy back issues. But this was more expensive than any 5 other issues. For your information, the Baroness and Destro were lovers. Okay, somebody in Cobra had to be. Musk was doing great till his salutes, and then Bill Gates did the same salute. Childish, so freaking childish. So let's look at the next. Okay, Cobra Commander. We got the helicopters over here. We got the blast. Boom, boom. This dead guy over here. I love this. The ground just pops open. These guys come out with rocket propelled grenades to take out a tank. They shoot them with lasers. I don't like that they use lasers. I know they did it in the cartoons for I guess they could tone it down or whatever, but I wish they kind of used more regular guns. Hawk should have been here by now. We can't wait any longer. Snake Eyes will have to go after Cobra Commander without support. Boom, boom, boom. So here goes Snake Eyes and Scarlet. There's the real Dr. Bernhardt. But we saw her drive out of the gate. Appearances can be deceiving, my lady. Please drop your weapons, or I shall be forced to terminate the life functions of the good doctor here. That was a great villain speech. You ever got a chance, Commander? The entire G.I. Joe team is right behind us. I'm sure they are, but I sincerely doubt that even your illustrious team can penetrate 12 inches of hard-cased cock in time. That door is sliding down, cutting us from the others. You got penises, I got a 12-inch one. It's just macho. It's so freaking cool. They're all showing up, just shooting each other. Bam, 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 bam. We got to get over here. He's surrendering. Now he's got the helmet. He took off the mask, put on the helmet. Got to sell those toys. What do you prefer? Do you prefer the hood or the helmet? The helmet is kind of scarier. I don't know, but the hood, just the hood invokes a lot of other things. But I just like that you don't see his face. So I got the gun to the head. It's a trap. It's a trap. Bernhardt yells. Hit the thumbs up, y'all. Like, subscribe, hit the thumbs. All those things that I'm supposed to say. Stop it, you fool. You'll ruin everything. So she jumps in front. She takes a bullet for the G.I. Joes. They could have saved themselves if not for me. I won't be responsible for their deaths. I won't let you. So she's a hero too. You know what I mean? She ain't a traitor. She's sticking to her morals over here. He shot Dr. Bernhardt, but he won't get away with it. So Scarlet just pulls off an American sheriff state-shaped ninja star, and right in the wrist. Makes him drop the gun. How did the Baroness get back? How did the Baroness get back? I kind of missed that and forgot that. But now G.I. Joe comes in. This guy's, he's just cool, blowing bubbles, just, chewing gum. He's here to chew gum and kick ass. And he ain't out of gum yet. They're rushing to save the Dr. Bernhardt. You could have left me to die, but you risk your own lives to save mine. I had presumed so many horrible things about you and the army. I guess I forgot that no one has a monopoly on scruples. Thank you. So, I mean, she made up her mind that anything military was bad, and now she's seeing the self-sacrifice, the people join the military not to be oppressive, horrible, jackbooted, villains, but in a desire to really help other people. You know what I mean? We forget that. I understand that the average soul, maybe they joined because they didn't know what to do with their life, or it was a good way to get money for college. That's all valid too. You know what I mean? But does anybody join the military to I'm going to oppress people? You know what I mean? And that's like the way a child thinks of the world. They drew some blood over here. Snake Eyes, they're all cool. Look, there's blood, and then the blood stops at the line. Cobra Commander, he's a sneaky son of a bee, and he escaped. Quick, everybody, into the chopper! Zap, you're driving. Hawk, I haven't pushed the joystick on a chopper in 2 years. Relax. It's like riding a bike. You'll never forget. Oh, yeah? I used to fall off my bicycle all the time. Little banter in between men, a little joking. That's what tough guys do. The only thing missing is a freaking explosion in the background as they're flying away. It's just freaking cool. Again, could I express how much I do dig? Oh, there's the explosion. Boom. There you go. Oh, man, my tank, my Jeep, my motorcycle. Don't sweat it, guys. General Austin will be glad to buy you a new set of wheels when I show up with Dr. Bernhardt. And I'd like to thank you all again. I still feel that all my political opinions are justified, but at least I know somewhere in the Pentagon there are people who care. I refuse to accept the evidence with my own eyes. But thank you. I'm a progressive, and then you'll have to take the stick for the whole trip, Baroness. My hand is completely useless. How is that? Oh, how'd that escape the censors? Do you know what I mean? Cobra Commanders in a cockpit with the Baroness. You grab the stick. My hand is useless. Bum, 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 bum. Shall I plot a course for a true headquarters, Commander? Yes, this endeavor has ended in failure. We must rest for now. You got the stick. And then we got this advertisement for the Mobile Strike Force team. Mobile Strike Force application team. Please enlist as a 1-year charter member of the G.I. Joe Mobile Strike Force team for annual membership of $5. Okay. Did anybody fill this out? What did you get? Did you get anything? Because it says G.I. Joe dog tag, metal dog tag, personalized with your name and address on a 24. Oh my God, that is so freaking cool. G.I. Joe military web belt, adjustable olive drab color. Official G.I. Joe team engraved brass buckle. G.I. Joe membership card, G.I. Joe wall poster, G.I. Joe iron-on emblem for t-shirts, an introductory newsletter, and annual G.I. Joe Mobile Strike Force newsletter with news about, oh my God, who got this? Please tell me some. Stippling, did you get this? Oh my God. And did you cut it out? So I love this. The Pit G.I. Joe Command Center. It is just, we got tanks. It looks like a gas station over here, but we got tanks. We got a swimming pool. We got a rec room. We got the computer area over here. Bedrooms. We got a generator and an escape hatch. It's just freaking cool. Didn't you love all of these schematics as a kid? I want to have a schematic in Heroic Tales. I think I might do it in Patriarch number 1 if I do it like a schematic of Science City itself, just because I love like a center page splash. Oh, let's adjust the comments. Stippling Vaughn. Dr. Bernhardt's final appearance was issue 205 when she killed Alpine. When she was killed, spoiler, Alpine wouldn't let her body be left behind. We don't leave our own behind, he said, and that's why we like G.I. Joe. I'm totally on board. The cloth mask was the only was the only Cobra commander I didn't have. I was the coolest. Alpine also wouldn't let her be put in a body bag to be discarded like a sack of garbage. Rest of the team agreed. She was a Joe to them. Cool. Again, like Chuck Dixon said, regular comics are adolescent power fantasies. G.I. Joe is a loyalty fantasy. The issue of G.I. Joe was brought to you by the word scruples. No, you didn't cut it out. I would give up all my scruples for that T-shirt iron-on. Yeah. That's another thing. I'm going to introduce, the Shield organization, probably in Heroic Tales Patriarch #1. And then one of the things I'd like to do is like I have a laminator right here, right by my foot. I just don't know. Like, I get a membership card, and like, you send me your picture. I don't know the logistics of this. Like, print out your picture, laminate the card, as part of a reward, or maybe I don't know. That would be just a lot of work. Maybe I'll put a fake ad. Oh. There you go. I'll put a fake ad in the comic book, with directions, email, and money. You know what I mean? And to get, like you are officially part of the superhero organization or something like that. There you go. That's better than putting it in the camp, because then it will come in drips and drabs, and I could do it rather than all at once while fulfilling a comic. That'll be fun. I could never bring myself to cut out coupons of comics. I didn't even do it for the Harbinger Zero back in the day. I know. You didn't want to do it. Like, I remember one of the later ads said you could photocopy this. And I was like, okay. On the final page of a 206 G.I. Joe challenge coin was placed on her gravestone. So it's good to see that she became like a regular character. Now, this story, like I said, I was sold. I was hooked. But this story was like, just like, okay, you got me. Well, yeah. Well, I'm gonna get you even further. So now we got G.I. Joe, a real American hero, special bonus feature. So this was, I guess, justified to increase the price. An extra story. And the story itself is no big deal. It's what happens in the story that is so cool. So we got, Middle East. We got camels. We got gibberish signs. We got people and women in burqas, and we got this Haji guy. You know what I mean? It's just like so stereotypical. They're all just sitting around dressed like 1930s chic of Araby, but it's the Joes. And hey, we got the hot potato. So let's just talk about the credits. We got Larry Hama writing. Don Perlin. Don Perlin is a legend in comics. He just passed. I think he was like 96 years old, and I think his last published work was for Weaponized Werewolf by not Justin Belmont, but one of us, one of our indie crowdfund comics. He did the cover. Love Don Perlin. So you don't see it here because it's like he has like a creepy, moody style that he did for Ghost Rider. That, I'm not joking. It gave me nightmares. He was so perfect for that. Jack Abel, inker, Rich Parker, letter, Glynis Wynn, colorist, and Tom DeFalco, editor. So here we got what's going on here. We got Scarlet, Snake Eyes, and Rock and Roll. They are taking out a group of bad guys, and they got like a little computer chip. I guess today it would be a USB thumb drive. Back then it was just like a little computer chip, and it's got the information. What is the information? Who cares? Doesn't matter. Who are these people? Who cares? Doesn't matter. And they're dwindling on resources. They're running out of bullets, things like that. So here, Snake Eyes, Rock and Roll. You guys are the running dogs. I'm the lame duck. So I love this. She's got this big old bandage because she's wounded. She's shot in the leg. Now, where'd they get the time to bandage and dress this in the middle of a firefight? Like, I don't know. Again, I hate to criticize Larry Hama, but I would have had her clutching her leg with blood. And I think that would have added gravitas to the story. She's bleeding out, you know what I mean? And, but she's got this nice field. So now she's just going to get abducted by the bad guys. And when you're a woman getting abducted by bad guys, there's extra things that they can do to you that is just unthinkable to the military guys. It's one of the reasons I was a college age liberal like everybody else. When you're under 30 and you're not liberal, you got no heart. When you're 30 and you're not conservative, you got no brain. I was like, right, women, every right. And now I'm just like, like my buddies that I worked with in Albuquerque, they were all like, they can't focus. They got women next to them in combat, and they're just like, I got to protect her. I got to protect her. He says, when it's all men, they're just doing what they got to do. Like that guy can handle himself. It's just, especially this alpha male warrior mentality. You know what I mean? That I assume everybody in G.I. Joe would have. So they're like, Scarlett's here. She's wounded. We're not leaving. We're not leaving. We are going to protect her. So she's like, you heard the radio. The bad guys are going to be here. Bad guys. They even say bad guys. Like you don't need to know who these people are. It's just boom. Story set up. Go. So this establishes they need this computer information. They got the computer right. They already got it. They already got the data tapes to the Death Star. Now they just got to get this information to Princess Leia. Go. He's like, I'm not leaving you. And so she tells Snake Eyes. Now, again, I'm new to G.I. Joe. I didn't know like that Snake Eyes and Scarlett have a relationship. Now, this is G.I. Joe. I know it's not like a sex relationship. It's just like they have some history, the camaraderie and everything like that. She understands the sign language. He doesn't speak. They got like a bond, a brother and sister bond. Maybe it is a lover's bond. I don't know at this point, but it doesn't matter. But I know that they have a bond. And she says, and Rock and Roll's like, I'm not leaving you. I'm not leaving. We're G.I. Joe. Yo, Joe, nobody left behind. And she's like, take the freaking information. Get out of here. Snake Eyes, draw your gun on him. And if he doesn't leave, shoot him. The mission first. And he's just like, what? He's following his order, Rock and Roll, which is more like say to you, drop off your gear and go. Leave us your weapons so we could fight and make it so that when you get to the rendezvous point, you could give Obi-Wan Kenobi the Death Star plans. And he's like, go. She gives him the thing. And Snake Eyes is going to be right behind you. Make sure you don't turn back. So she pulls the gun on Snake. Literally, you pulling a gun on these people to force them to abandon their loyalty. It's just awesome. It's just like, you're like, oh my God, like, and Snake Eyes like, what? So now Snake Eyes and Rock and Roll are running to the rendezvous point. And I reckon we're halfway to the border now, Snake Eyes. I hope you know that after I hand this tape over to Hawk, I'm going to put a powerful hurting on you. Man, carrying this tape is like carrying one of those legendary diamonds, the ones with the curses on them. Funny, I used to think you had some feelings for Scarlett. I must have been wrong. Listen, you could take that tape from me and go back for her. Because please, Snake. So he's starting to get mad he goes, I thought you had feelings for Scarlett and you just abandoned her. He goes, I must have been wrong. Basically, he's saying you're a piece of crap. You know what I mean? Like, you just abandoned her. You had to pull a gun on me. And now you just abandoned her. Listen, I could take the tape. You could take the tape and let me go back for her. Here, he's begging him. You take the tape. Let me go back and rescue Scarlett. Let me go back and help her. Please, Snake Eyes. I'll never ask anything from you before. Snake Eyes. He turns around. Snake Eyes is gone. He's gone. What did he do? He went back. This is just awesome. It's just awesome. They're super loyal to each other. Look at this guy's going crazy over here at the thought of abandoning one of his own. And he's hatred towards Snake Eyes that you went along with abandoning one of our own. And then he turns around and he realized Snake Eyes didn't leave her alone. I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. It's so freaking good. And what does he do? She's over here. He's just firing. Come on, you creeps. If you want to be Guardians of Paradise, I'll send you to paradise. Boom, boom, boom. You know, what? Snake Eyes, you crazy fool. Get over here and give me some cover fire. I think I got sand in my eyes. You know, she's a woman after all. You know what I mean? It's like she was scared. She was scared. She doesn't want to die, but she's doing her job. She's a professional, you know? And then she sees her buddy, her lover, her friend, her brother. I don't know the relationship, you know what I mean? But her comrade, her fellow GI Joe. I think I got saying about it's just perfect. I hope to someday write something a tenth as good as this page. It's so good, you know. And then these are the GI Joes, Hawk and everybody else just waiting. Scar Sea Patrol. We made boom. You know, a rock comes flattened. It's a grenade. It's not a grenade. It's the tape. What? It sounds like someone starting. Don't shoot. That's rock and roll. He's going back to the desert. You know, he did his mission. I did my duty. I did what I had to do. You know, I understand that we're soldiers and there's loss, but I'm going back now. I'm going back now. He's going back for Snake Eyes and Scarlet. You shouldn't go back unless Scarlet and Snake Eyes were still alive. We got to go back and help them. No. Now everything on the line to get this tape this far, we can't fumble the pass. I guess we got the hot potato now. So now they're going through the emotions. If he's going back, that means Scarlet and Snake Eyes, there's a good chance they're still alive. So we got to go back. No. And it starts all over again. It starts all over again. It's awesome. It's awesome. I'm just going to finish this story and then I'll address the comments. You know, we are the Guardians of Paradise. We are the Lions of the Desert. We are the Swarm Protectors of the Emirate. Back when you were allowed to have Muslims as bad guys back in the 80s, you know, Sharif, the Sharif don't like it, but they're going to rock the Casbah. So now he's going back. He's going back. He's driving through the desert. He's a madman. He's just, you know, he's just, we must overwhelm these infidels. We must storm them. So we have his speech superimposed on him. And now we got Snake Eyes. I have to admit that I didn't expect you to come back for me. I appreciate the gesture, but it's a stupid waste. We've got 2 clips left, and that's it. You got time to make it. Run for the border. So she's got the lame limb. She's running out of ammo, and then these guys are going to charge. This is it. This is the last stand. Boom, 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 boom. But they're shooting them. He goes, well, both of our guns are dry now. They'll be overrun us with the next wave. I've been saving 2 shots on my backup piece. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be captured. What are they talking about? Why doesn't she want to be captured? You know what I mean? This is just awesome. And of course, Snake Eyes doesn't talk. Wait, what's coming over the hill? It's rock and roll. Right now, you just hear like AC/DC just playing. You're in the movie theater, and it's just like, I'm on a highway to hell. Or Thunderstrike. What is that? Thunder. He just bursts over. Just starts shooting them all. Thunder. Bah, 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 bah. They get on the bike. He hands Snake Eyes. He's sitting there, and they're just ready to, you know, rescue. It's just so freaking cool. This guy's like, oh yeah, you think you're getting away? He orders in an airstrike, and now they're like, poop, and what? Boom. You know, Talk showing up. He had the same crisis of conscience that rock and roll and Snake Eyes had, and now he's back to rescue his buddies. Why? Because it's loyalty. This is just team loyalty. He shows up in the nick of time, and now they're all driving away, and he goes. And now Stalker has the tape, and he's flying the tape back to GI Joe headquarters, and it's just like, what would you like with your steak? Potato, and make it real hot. You know, it's just awesome. It's just awesome. Okay, I'll leave it at this page. Let's address the comments, and my cursor stopped working. Don Perlin did issue 2. Good. Hey, Matthew Cricky, how you doing? How's it going, buddy? How's everything? Oh, they are lovers? Snake Eye and Scarlet are lovers? I didn't know that. I just thought it was just like a, you know, you're G.I. Joe. So it's the super secret army that wants to conquer the world and destroy G.I. Joe. Cobra Commander is the ruthless, fanatical leader of the enemy army, and you can get up your very own Cobra Commander figure free. Just send a total of 5 flag points. Oh, cool. Anybody cut this out? G.I. Joe Classified. If I miss with this, I know I could get it with the machine pistol. Scarlet O'Hara. Shanna O'Hara, intelligence, classified, Atlanta, GA. So she was hanging out with Kate Pearson in B-52s. G.I. Joe classified. Breaker. Breaker is familiar with all NATO and Warsaw Pact communications gear specialist. So he's the communications expert. Let's hear it for communications. Boom, 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 boom. You will be mine. You will be mine. You will be mine. G.I. Joe classified file. Flash. He's cutting up all the potatoes. What is his specialty? Electronic technology, and it's capable of equipment repair in the field. Specialized education, electronics. So he's the electronics expert. G.I. Joe classified. Who's this? Stalker. This don't look easy, but I don't want any of you kids trying. So Arabic friends. He's experts. I guess he's the flying guy. Write your own ticket. Oh, this is X-Men. X-Men. Add power. Marvel Comics. A new word from the Incredible Hulk on behalf of Marvel Comics. Power. Look at that. G.I. Joe weapons. The Vamp. Vehicle attack multi-purpose. I'm Clutch, and this is my bad short. Under the OD hood, she's a 4.8-liter fuel-injected turbocharged V12 that can punch her up fully loaded to 140 miles per hour. Now that's some heavy badness coming right at you. Oh, man. Whew. Just testosterone, just it's in my beard. I'm going to go upstairs, and my wife is just going to look at me, and she's going to get 8 months pregnant. Sorry, guys. That's just the way it happens. That I won't have time to do my channel. It's all your fault for G.I. Joe. But the multi-ordnance battle tank, Mobat. Look at this. This is so... Was there a toy of this? Mobat. Kind of looks like Jack Kirby style face. This is just awesome. Just awesome. And you can see a little bit of scuffing over here. Yeah, but this was awesome. I look forward to issue 2. It's completely different than I thought. It's got heart. It's good guys versus bad guys, and not only that, it explains why does G.I. Joe win? Because they got each other's backs, and Cobra Commander right away. I got no scruples. I'll sacrifice any. You know what I mean? It's just so cool. I don't know. I could gush. I'm gushing now. Hopefully the new artist for my comic will be hard by Wednesday. Good job. Good. Cool. Good. I'm rooting for you. Matt. Stippling Vaughn says Scarlet, Snake Eye, Stalker, and Storm Shadow are the only characters Larry fully fleshed out as characters. Okay. I was just thinking that when I saw Stalker, to each one of these have backstories, history, how many G.I. Joes were there? We got a whole bunch of them right here. All those vehicles were toys. I figured, why waste the time for a page? And I'm fully aware that each page is an advertisement for a toy, but it worked. So there you go. That's G.I. Joe #1. I really liked it. Like I said a million times, I wasn't into military comics as a kid, and G.I. Joe was, to me, wasn't even a military comic. It was a toy comic, which is real hypocritical, as I liked the Micronauts and I liked ROM, but ROM had superheroes in it. I was into superheroes, and Micronauts was a blatant, not parody, parallel of Star Wars, So, but G.I. Joe, just not interested. This is literally the first issue I read, and I read a small digest size version of it because Arthur sent it to me. Crenshaw, they never give up. They're always there fighting for freedom, overland and air. Is that the music? But I like the code names. It's so much fun. And you gotta watch the Venture Brothers. You like G.I. Joe? You like Johnny Quest? You like superheroes? Just watch the Venture Brothers and watch from episode 1. It starts off a little not hokey. It starts off a little bad, but it's just a great story. You got to watch it in the order. You don't just watch a random episode. I mean, you can just watch a random, but you get so much more if you watch it in order. So yeah, watch the Venture Brothers. It's a good goof on G.I. Joe. It's a good goof on superheroes. It's a goof on Johnny Quest. It's a goof on Scooby-Doo. Love some Joe. So there you go. So now that I'm done with the comic, as normal, I will keep talking as long as the comments are going. When the comments are wind down, I'll wind down. So anything you want to talk about, anything you want to say, anything you want to bring up? Nothing. I got nothing else to say. I just saw I got some messages on Twitter. That's usually like how people message me. So I just wanted to see. I just want to see what everybody says. So anyway, back to G.I. Joe. The way I do back, like I said, I already explained back issues. Now, depending upon the price, I'll probably get up to issue 5 in the next batch if they're affordable. If they're not affordable, I get one at a time. And I've been buying too many back issues lately, but right now I got a lot of like expenses making Heroic Tales #2. So I will probably go back to just once a month, put in a back issue order with my comic shop, and then do that. So like once a month I'll get like a back issue box of back issues, and once a month I'll get my new comics. So I always call it the back issue bonanza, and then the my monthly visitor is my like new comics that are just brand new off the shelf. The Sailors on Venture Brothers were definitely Shore Leave. There was a bunch of G.I. Joe spoofs. Sphinx was a goof on Cobra. Consider making a graphic novel for my Scholastic. And oh, cool! If you could get into Scholastic, you're set. That's an awesome idea. I would not have any idea how to get into Scholastic, but keep in mind it's got to be kid friendly. It's got to be like Heroic Tales wouldn't be good for Scholastic. Based on my superhero novella. Good for you. Good for you. That's an excellent idea. If you got connections with Scholastic, that would be awesome. So there you go. Hour and 42 minutes. It's 11:46 here in New York. I'm liking it. I'm into G.I. Joe. I'm here for the long haul. I will get the comics, a couple of months, for the time being, and we'll see how it goes. Always worth the rewatch or the redubbed G.I. Pork chop sandwiches. That's my favorite. And body massage. If anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, on YouTube you can see the G.I. Joe PS. The more you know. But they redubbed them goofy, and they're pretty funny. Body massage, and then the other guy's running pork chop sandwiches. That became a joke. Pork chop sandwiches. All right, it looks like the comments are winding down. I don't know what I'm going to do next week for Sunday Comics. I'll look it up. But next Friday on It's Clobbering Time, we're going to do Narnia versus Middle Earth, and I'm leaving it blank so you could talk whatever you want. Narnia versus Middle Earth, not Tolkien versus C.S. Lewis, not Aslan versus Gandalf, just Narnia versus Middle Earth. And I'm leaving it so that you could, and as always, that's an open invitation. What do I have scheduled this week? I'm looking at my phone calendar. This week, I got Dave Lucarelli from Tinseltown. We'll be talking about his new horror comic on Wednesday at 7:00, and then I go to RJ on the Fourth Age for Comic Book Team Up at 8:30, and then other than that, I don't have anything scheduled. So yeah, I don't have anything scheduled. Monday and Tuesday, I always have my friends over for board games. So I'm getting hungry. I don't know if the camera's picking up my belly, but my wife picked up some bagels. She's gonna make some eggs and bagels and some corned beef hash for Sunday brunch. So there you go. All right. See you guys. See you. Thank you for everybody for watching, and like, subscribe. Be aware of Heroic Tales #2, and bye.